All right, we're going to stand by, get this live.
He's got a big series down in Atlanta. I think we need to go in 5 of the next 6 to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all starts with tonight, though. If we win tonight, I might.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'll call our work session to order, September 28th, 2021. Jamie, if you could please read the Sunshine Statement.
Be advised that proper notice has been given by the Township Council in accordance with the Sunshine Law in the following manner. Notice advertised in the Burlington County Times and Camden Courier Post on January 7th, 2021, and posted on the bulletin board on the same date. Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Jenny?
Here.
Ms. Pareo? Here. Mr. Lyon? Mr. Burrell?
Here. Thank you, Jamie. First up, we have Resolution 2021-159 that's awarding trash contracts to Republic Services of New Jersey. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Motion. I'll second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo? Aye. Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. The contract is awarded. Just as a, before we continue, we do have a statement prepared regarding this trash contract, so I'm just going to read it into the record. If you can bear with me, it may take a few seconds. A copy of this will be provided online and on the website and social media. Hopefully I can do this without my glasses fogging up. But Resolution 2021-159 is awarding the trash contract to Republic Services of New Jersey. Just want to take some time to provide background information and set the record straight for the public. Most importantly, initially I want to stress that we understand that many residents have been unhappy with the current trash service that has been provided and the problems with missed trash collection and delays. As your neighbors, council, and mayor, we have faced the same issues at our own homes and share the same frustrations. With that in mind, it is critical that we understand the process and how we got here today. As most of you are now aware, we began the bidding process a couple months back for solid waste collection contract because our current contract has expired. As required by public contract law and the bid law here in New Jersey, the township requested bids for our solid waste collection contract. The township sent bids out to all the major trash company services in the area, in essence inviting them to bid, and allowed a 60-day response period to promote competition, which is also required by law. One of the major trash companies in the area that we hoped would have applied for this bid did not, leaving us only with one bidder. After the 60-day period, as I mentioned, we unfortunately only received one bid from one trash company, and that's Republic Trash Services, the same company that has provided the current services to the township. They were the only bid, and there was a significant increase in their contract. 1 year, the first year is $822,000, a little bit over. This reflects a substantial increase in the cost of that contract, $363,000, a little bit over than the previous contract for the first year, almost nearly double. Now our hands are pretty tied, and we must award the contract to Republic Services. One, because it's a necessary service, we really have no other options, or the trash won't get picked up. And two, they were the only bidder and a responsible bidder, so we're required to by law. We regret that only one bidder applied, and there wasn't more competition. Trust us on that, but we have to deal with the cards that were dealt. Finally, some of you may be asking, why is there such a substantial increase? I'm sure we'll get those questions on Facebook or in our email boxes later on. And we all asked the same questions and had the same frustrations. Republic referenced in our conversations with them the difficulties with COVID, staffing, the labor market, the economy, as well as some recent vehicle breakdowns they had in their fleet. Additionally, the previous contract was for a flat rate, and they told us that they were losing $100,000 a year on the last contract. So either we had a great contract last time that we ended up winning on, and now they got to make it up. But as we move forward, in a sliver of good news, I want to stress that there are no changes to the trash contract services that residents will get and that you've come to expect here in town with the award of the new contract. The new trash contract will not alter the current pickup schedule. Bulk trash will continue to be picked up each and every trash day, which is something we know residents appreciate as a unique convenience, as other nearby towns do not provide this service to residents every trash pickup. Republic will be responsible for maintaining and replacing damaged trash collection receptacles, so your trash cans. And while we could have decided to reduce these services to cut down the cost, council and the mayor wanted to make sure that we continue to provide the services everybody has come accustomed to. On behalf of the mayor and township council, we are not thrilled to have to award this contract, especially given the issues we've experienced, but we really have no other option. Additionally, well, first, with respect to the poor service issue, we're going to hold Republic feet to the fire. There's no question about that. That means charging fines when trash collections are missed and expecting better communications from their team in the future. We have already met with them on multiple occasions about the communication, and we expect that same service moving forward. Additionally, thanks to the launch of Recycle Coach this past March, we encourage all residents to use this new method available for missed trash collections. We want to encourage all residents to report any issues they may have through Recycle Coach, which can be done from their app on their smartphone or directly through the township website. This will help us provide a more detailed and comprehensive method of documentation, as well as holding Republic responsible to the 24-hour notice requirement in the contract. Second, with respect to the increased cost of trash collection, we are evaluating various methods and remedies moving forward. That includes the possibility of using the American Recovery Plan money to offset the increased cost of this contract. Moreover, we're looking at other ways to reduce costs in the future. That means evaluating the cost of providing trash collection ourselves in-house, looking at smaller trash companies to serve the area and getting them to bid, and finally meeting with state representatives and other municipal leaders to potentially work together or figuring out ways to promote more competition. Again, as your mayor and council, we'd like to remind you that we are all your neighbors. We share your frustrations, especially when it comes to trash services, and we will continue to work diligently to ensure the long-term solution and outcome for everybody. And make no mistake, trash collection, and I've said it before, is one of the most fundamental services we provide here in the township. We need to make sure, we have a duty to make sure that that service is successful and efficient each and every day. It's really simple. It's really just a fundamental service we need to provide. And we ensure you all that we will promise to do that and stay on top of Republic and make sure that we don't have any issues moving forward. So with that, that will be provided, told the mayor will provide a statement on the website and social media afterwards for all the residents, so everybody is clear. With that, we'll now go to Resolution 2021-160. This is authorizing the tax collector to create sewer accounts for various residents. Can I get a motion and a second, please? Jamie, could you call the roll?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo? Aye. Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Next up, I need a motion granting a mercantile license to the vendors, to the businesses therein listed on our agenda. Can I get a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo? Aye. Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. And now finally to our work session portion of our agenda. And first up, we have our representatives from PSE&G who are here to discuss their proposal regarding Chester Ave main replacement. You guys can come on up and introduce yourself, but they, as we're well aware, they came to this council, well, from Jim's office, a request to allow overnight working so they can get their project done. So they're here to give us a brief overview of the project, how they're going to handle our concerns about the nighttime, and then here to answer any questions we have. So I'm going to hand it over to you guys. If you can just use your outdoor voice and just introduce yourself by name and and title.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Kelly Sutter. I am with PSE&G Gas Construction as the project manager for the project.
Charles Wheatley, Senior Supervisor, Gas Construction, as well overseeing the project.
So thank you for the introduction, Tyler. To date, we have worked with Jim regarding the project work across Delran. More recently, at the end of last year, we completed other gas system modernization program work. This program work was developed and identified working with a stipulated BPU, Board of Public Utilities program, in which across the state, PSE&G is identifying aging vintage pipelines that are in the ground, whether they're cast iron or bare steel, or ranking them for a replacement, meaning that there may be leaks, there could be breaks, or it's the type of material that will have those type of issues in the near future. Chester Ave was identified as one of those. The vintage of that pipe out there was installed between 1956 and 1959. So it is qualifying for a replacement and a high priority for PSE&G to get that replaced ahead of going into this winter especially. It's about 7,100 feet of work between Route 130 to 2nd Street, and it does go from Delran Township into Riverside Township, affecting both residents on both sides of Chester Avenue. We had a pre-project meeting prior in which we went over this project and discussed with your team and the police about the impacted area from Route 130 to Greenwood Ave being businesses and especially the school, and the impact that our work during the daytime hours would have to traffic. We would also be limited to certain hours, which would extend the length and duration of that work. So where we are requesting is night work hours. We discussed and reviewed with police as well, an 8 p.m. start and a 5 a.m. finish. We're targeting to get the entire section from Route 130 to Greenwood Ave done in approximately 4 days, weather permitting, 4 nights, weather permitting. So it would be Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, mains in the grounds, and then we would continue on day work from Greenwood Ave down to 2nd Street for the rest of the project. We are anticipating about 6 weeks of project work, weather permitting. If we do get downpouring rain and it becomes unsafe, we will not work that day, which would just shift the schedule to the right. So I think we had anticipated starting October 4th. So I'll just pause there for a second if there's any specific construction questions, and then I can talk about our outreach that we're doing with the public and the community a little bit. I'll just break for a second if there's any questions.
Are you still planning to start next Monday?
Yes, the 4th.
Is there any questions about the construction before they talk about the nighttime issues with reaching out to the public, right?
Right.
I just have one question. Are they going to use like stadium lighting? Those huge lights when they're working? I assume they are.
They will have highlighting off the generators running at night for safety purposes, obviously, so they can see what's going on, and you know, as soon as they'll have them up, they'll set everything up with protection and lighting, get their crews in place with their trucks from Route 130 down to here, but of course they'll be working in probably 500-foot segments is what probably the scope of the work will be each night. If possible, they could get more than that, they will, but it is 6-inch plastic, and you know, everything, the restoration will be hot base to grade, 8 inches base to grade, so there'll be no temporary patch left on the road. Any plates will be pinned and ramped. If they have to end with a hole at either end, they will ramp that and pin it. So there will be no issues with plates. If there is, obviously we'll come down immediately and backfill, and they'll just have to re-dig.
And I think, you know, we are aware that there are a couple of residential houses. I think there's about 4 right in a row in this section. So just kind of what Charlie said, our goal, and everyone aware is this, is that we're impacting them directly for 1 night. So it won't be like, you know, 2 nights in a row. We're going to try to do that so that we get through there 1 night, and then we do get through that area.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah. Any other questions with that?
Yeah, my concern is also when you get closer to Greenwood, there's a lot more houses.
Right.
So is there any way you could actually start walking there maybe at 8 as opposed to later in the evening?
What was that?
Could you start the work there like at 8?
8 p.m.?
Yeah.
That's when we're starting.
in that area?
Only
Well,
up to
I don't
Greenwood.
understand the question.
After Greenwood, it will be daylight hours, so they'll be
Right.
shifting to days. Nights up to Greenwood to get past the school, police station, the firehouse, get out of this congested area where safety is concerned for everybody, get everybody in and out, also the school's involved. Once we get to Greenwood, we would go to days.
Right, but when you're approaching Greenwood, is there any way to do it around 8 o'clock?
Start time at 8?
Yeah, because
Sure.
even though you're not on Greenwood, you're close and the
Right, well,
lights
they
and
could
the
set up,
noise.
and if there, I mean, if it's a noise ordinance that we're dealing with, if we have to, I'm sure we'll accommodate that.
Perfect, that sounds good to me.
I just want to make sure I'm clear though. So the question is to start at 8 PM.
No, 8 AM in the morning instead of 7 AM
Is
during
that the
daylight
question?
No,
hours.
8 PM, like if you could do it, when you have to do the overnight work, when you're closer to Greenwood is my question.
When you get to, what she's saying is when you get close to Greenwood, try to get the work done in the front half of the night
Right.
rather than from 2 AM to, 5 AM or after midnight. Try to get it done early in the night, so at least that's a little bit more bearable.
Yeah, and I
If
think,
possible.
Jim, one of the
Is
things
that
that,
what you're doing?
Yes, yes.
yeah,
said
thank
it
you. I'm
perfectly,
sorry. I
thank you.
just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure I was
it's okay.
understanding what you were asking. Yeah, that's our intent. And our intent is what we talked about too, depending on that fourth night. If we get to the middle of the field, past the school, which is really where that first house starts, we'll probably look to stop.
Right.
So we're gonna manage that as we get through each night, and hopefully we don't have the rain delays.
Sounds good, thank you.
And then you had some
Right.
information about the public
So-
outreach.
Right, so I had passed out in front of you what, just our normal process across the state, what we do, at least a week in advance to the residents. They actually received this letter, and there's an example of the door hanger on the table somewhere. We physically deliver these door hangers. So in this letter, we adjusted it to address the night hours, because typically that wouldn't be in the standard letter. So we kind of covered the night hours as well as the work hours and gave the limits of the work that will be night and day. So the residents received the letter. They will also receive, coming into this Friday, between Thursday and Friday, we send out an email also to the residents. It's their account that's tied to their PSE&G account, they'll get the letter. And we're also gonna do a reverse 911 type call that we put out to the residents to the numbers associated with the account. So whether it's a home number or a cell phone that they've adjusted. So going into Friday ahead of starting Monday, they will get that information. Typically, no parking would be like our last form of communication, but in these areas, we're not up, until we get past Greenwood, we're not really in a situation where it's typical to have parking on the sides. So throughout the project as well, as we get down to the Greenwood section, we would do another kind of rollout of the emails as well, just to let the customers know. This is a quick turnaround. I know it sounds long, but the extent of this magnitude of the project and the work. So the other phase of communication is a letter when we're getting ready to do the individual services at the houses. We have to schedule an appointment with the resident. So we're not going to show up the day of and say we're digging at your property. They're gonna have to, we have an inspector or a representative from PS, they'll knock on the door, they'll explain why they're there, there's an orange door hanger that they're left with to contact us, and we set those appointments up. So that's basically the last form of communication. And then when we're done the project, because a lot of people are gonna start calling. So, and another thing, there's a phone number, it's a dedicated hotline for this project specifically. So it's not a general customer service number, it is manned by our outreach representative. They can call that number and ask questions. If you are getting calls and you want to send them in our direction, send them to that number. We document any calls that come in, excuse me. And we manage, any customer issues through that process as well.
Okay, great.
Is that the number in the next to last paragraph?
It's the 1866 number?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the one,
right.
1-833-661-6400?
Yes, I'm sorry, 833,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
Quick question about this. This says it takes 45 days for the pavement to settle. We're not doing that, right?
No, I mean, it just,
I mean, it normally
we
does.
plan to pave next spring.
Okay.
They plan to repave the road next spring.
Right,
Gotcha.
because we do want to allow for that settlement
Yeah,
period.
okay.
And
But
then
it
we're
really
going
does-
into the winter, so it is a.
Gotcha. Okay.
But through, I mean, we've been working, they did all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
job over in Ithaca and Juniata.
Yeah,
and
it was-
all the trench repairs hold up. They really
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, our goal is to make it safe going into the winter. Obviously, like Charlie said, we're gonna leave it in good condition because we don't want to be back every snowstorm with the
Yeah.
full patch
Yeah.
and everything.
Any questions from council? thoughts, feedback,
I've
questions?
got one actually for Jim.
Yes.
Jim, so I know PSCNG is doing this work. Are there any other, services that would need to do work that, can go in at the same time, or are we all kind of synced up?
Well, Kelly and I, and also the project manager for New Jersey American Water, talk frequently, and New Jersey American Water does their own thing, but, we can only, all we can do is continue to advise them that this is getting done, this road's getting resurfaced. Hence why New Jersey American Water is coming through and doing a lot of their main replacements. They have clearly said they don't need to do any work on, in these limits. For the sewer department, we own the sewer. Jeff and I were actually talking about doing some repairs within these limits before they repave, so we can take advantage of them doing the restoration. So that will bring before you in the future.
Did the school district receive this notification too?
Yes, so the school district received the notification, between today and tomorrow. We were kind of pausing until tonight's meeting just to make sure there were any, major concerns. So we will have conversations, directly with the superintendent's building, the office about busing and so everybody's aware of what's going on.
Okay.
It's a lot of coordination. We are utilizing Riverside and Delran Police, so we are, I know this is about Delran, but we are coordinating with both towns to make sure it goes smoothly, so we're all in step throughout the project.
Great. Any other questions? I think this is, the outreach I think is going to be huge with this, but, and I think, we do have the memo from the chief. Everybody read that, the concerns about safety. So, not to diminish the concerns of these residents, because we obviously are concerned about that, but I think it makes sense that, we only have 4 days potentially of working at night, and really only 1 day in front of somebody's house, right, as explained, rather than forcing this during the day, and it's probably a 3-week ordeal during the day, and impacting everybody that lives on this side of the road or wants to go to this side of the highway. Is that a pretty good assessment?
Fair. And then at the approach to Route 130, that has to be done at night.
Yeah,
There's too much
yeah.
traffic during the day, and then those residents are unfortunately so close to that, so that even if we try to switch over to doing day work in front of those residents, they're just going to be impacted anyway by it being so close to 130.
Yeah.
So it's really, I don't really see a way
It's
out of it.
public safety, yeah.
And one advantage to the residents also is the fact that the roads can be repaved. We had an email
Eventually.
just yesterday, asking about Chester Avenue repaving after seeing other roads being repaved. So I think a real positive is we're gonna have that repaved and at PSEG's expense.
Yeah.
Plus, I was gonna say, you're consolidating to 4 nights of grief. What would be 3 weeks of grief?
At least 3 weeks,
Yeah.
honestly, because of the size pipe and the limited hours, because I think the police were looking at
Yeah.
a really short window. It would extend the project to like
Yeah.
almost 5 weeks, honestly,
Yeah.
for that section.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense we would allow an exception to the noise ordinance, I believe is what the issue is.
The temporary waiver.
Temporary waiver for them to do that. 4 nights, 1 night in front of somebody's house, if somebody's house is involved, right? So very limited in scope, the impact's gonna be pretty limited, and it doesn't affect the masses. It can create crazy public safety concern. So is everybody, any other questions for PSE&G while they're here? Jeanette, you good?
I just wanted to add one thing.
Sure.
Just want to introduce myself. I'm your liaison, the Regional Public Affairs. So if Gary has something that's urgent during this project time, I work very closely with the team. And if you need me, I'm available by cell 24/7. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much. We hope we have no problems. We really haven't had any problems. Your relationship with Jim is fantastic, and we've gotten a lot accomplished in a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for,
When will this night work start?
Monday, October 4th.
This coming Monday?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Monday.
and weather pending and everything goes
Yeah.
as, indicated, we anticipate being through this section of night work by Thursday.
Is there gonna be a detour around this while you're working, or are they gonna be?
So
Yeah.
yes, so we are detouring, I'm sorry,
you can go. We're not really in public, so
I'm sorry.
but you can answer the question, and then I'll have to have you, I'd have to ask for counsel. You can answer the question, and then we'll take it from there. You can answer it.
Okay, I'm sorry. So detour would be in place. We have to shut down Route 130 up to Greenwood, so we're detouring down to Taylor's Lane and then up River Road back to Chester Ave.
See.
Sorry.
Okay. So
Okay.
any other last call for questions, comments? Okay, great. So thank you very much. We
Thank
appreciate
Have
you
a
guys
great
coming
day.
out.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thanks. So at this time, I think it makes sense that we,
I'm sorry, I just,
You have a question?
before they get PSE&G, before you go,
Sorry.
I just want to know, how long will you be on the road?
So we're estimating about 6 weeks
Okay, so,
in total.
so right around October 14th,
Yes.
we're gonna have some additional traffic, to the tune of, we don't know, but a lot. So will you be able to, if we need to black out a couple, like maybe 13, 14, as we prepare for that?
Yeah, I just,
I'll send you the.
yeah, we can
Jim will
follow
let
up.
you know.
Yep.
There's a
There's
very
an
large
evening
event,
event.
community
Yes.
park.
And then, so if you do work that day, you'll have to shut down early.
And that is a Thursday.
The
Yes.
14th, yeah.
Yes,
No, we'll do
14th is
whatever.
the big day, and that's the only day we really anticipate any issues, but parking will happen here,
And you're gonna
and we're
transport.
gonna bus them over, so, just, we can't have both at the same time.
Understood, so we'll mark that down and we'll manage that.
And November 2nd.
Yeah, and
Yes.
election day.
yeah. Great, thank you very much,
Thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Sorry for almost missing that.
So with that, I'd entertain a motion to allow the, Sal, how did you?
Temporary waiver?
Temporary waiver of the noise ordinance so they can conduct their project for the dates they referenced in the presentation in working with Jim. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Motion? I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. So Jim, you'll let them know?
I'll know right away.
Great, and we'll just, if we can put something similar on the website, if we can work, I think it makes sense. You know, because that,
Yep.
I always tend to find why, you know, you look at the letter, you put the letter somewhere, then that number
Yeah.
goes
Oh,
away very
absolutely.
quickly.
I'm confident you're gonna find it's gonna be over and done with and
Yeah.
everything will be fine.
I think so. They get the same skin in the game we got. They don't want people frustrated and upset.
Yep.
Calling them. So we'll keep moving on. Next up, we have similar vein, our noise ordinance draft. So I don't know if this is Jeff or Sal will tell us what we need next with this.
I think
I'm
we're
not sure.
good. In your packet, you'll see a letter that our office received from the NJDEP. It's dated September 7th, so there were some additional revisions. We incorporate all those. They concurred. They were happy with the changes. And so we're good to move forward.
So we can adopt at next meeting potentially.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Do we do introduction first reading?
We haven't done an introduction, so
So introduction,
Yeah.
introduction first reading.
Yep.
And then, yeah. Jeff, do you have anything else with that? Yeah,
okay, great.
yeah, we've got the blessings.
And I'm told Riverside is also in the process of adopting the same ordinance, so there's potential there for shared service if equipment needs to be purchased or whatever from the administrative side. So that'll get put on our next agenda, public meeting for first reading. Any questions, concerns from council? I think we've talked about this one for a while. We were just waiting for the state to give us the green light. Great, thanks, thanks, Sal.
Yep.
Next up, we have the mechanical devices ordinance, and this is just the jukebox, right? Is that
Well, it's other devices too, but
okay?
it came up because of
Yeah.
the business that had just one jukebox and was paying.
Yep. So the question presented, I think it was a couple meetings back, was one, do we waive the gentleman's request for those, I think there was a couple of machines he had with COVID that he didn't make any money. And then the second thing that came up was, I think a lot of council asked, why do we even have this? What's the point if there's like 3 people who fall under this umbrella and it seems to be more work than it's worth? Right, and that's where we're with. And then Jamie got some information about how many other people were involved. So it looks like, as we sort of guessed, right, there's really only one, 1, 2.
So there's only 2 distributors and then there's 2 So 4 distributors at
Yeah.
different locations, Throwbacks, ShopRite, and Judy's.
Okay. I mean, is there a point that I'm missing to why we have this? I mean, like, this obviously doesn't impact our bottom line very much. Yeah, I mean, is it, in my mind, it seems to be more of a hassle than it's provides a value, but
Is there any benefit, if I can?
I'm just asking you.
Is there any benefit to having this license, specifically when there might be something that is presented as a problem, there's too many, it becomes a hangout, and whatever? I mean,
I don't know.
Is this, obviously, this is not a money thing, but is this maybe a control thing? That we need to have control of these boxes?
I believe that's how the ordinance started. We had some businesses in town, can you hear me? I'm sorry, that had multiple 20 or so vending machines, and the ordinance was put in place, and you still had one that shut down that had 20 some, but I think the real issue is, I mean, do you really want to license a jukebox? That's the only thing, the only item that the place has, because we have several of those. And that's obviously how it started, is the individual said they didn't make any revenue in 2020 because of COVID, and could we waive that fee and their late fee, and that started the whole question. So yes, from a revenue standpoint, it really doesn't make a lot of sense, other than maybe the one business, if they come back into operation, in order to control how many machines, get put into there. But yeah, this started a number of years ago when there was a business that had 20 or 30 machines, and they seem to be growing in different areas, but it's probably a 30-year-old ordinance.
Okay, 1994, let's take the first time. Just given that the history looks like 1994 was your first.
So what they had a bunch of like Coke machines?
Video machines,
Yeah, this isn't vending machines, this is mechanical devices.
like video
Like games
machines.
and
Well,
things?
Exactly.
Yeah, and the red box, so there's like a DVD rental thing in
I think the
ShopRite.
greens, I think it probably started with the greens at Delran, if you remember that.
I don't.
Too young.
No. Somebody does.
And if they have one of those games that has like a claw, like a claw
Yeah,
game where they get something like that.
I wouldn't know. So
I think it's a waste of time.
To just get rid of the ordinance?
Yeah, well, I
Or
think
get rid of the fee?
the both questions. There's both questions. The first question about do we waive that gentleman's Tom, who's not here, but he didn't seem to be too inclined, and then council, my note said, agreed with him not to change it. Because we would have to then, if we do that, it's only fair to go back and adjust everybody's who was in that. So,
Excuse my ignorance on this one. Is this everything in town?
This is for mechanical, yes.
Yeah, I'm saying like, this is not just those that are, either problems or unusual. This is all the machines in town?
All
yes,
the machines.
yeah. So if we stay with where we were in that discussion before, we don't waive it because everybody else paid it, and the economy sort of is what it is at that time. And then I think the second thing, I mean, I'm inclined personally just to get rid of it. I think it's a waste of time, but I mean, unless there's something I'm missing, it just seems to be a burden on everybody, but I'm open to discussion about it.
I think if it gets to be an issue, we can always revisit it. But right now, it seems it's a little bit worse than it's worth. Who monitors all this?
The clerk's office with
Yeah,
licensing,
Melissa
yeah.
really in my office does all the licensing.
Yeah, I just don't think these things are of issue anymore. I mean, all the games are on your cell phone, it's just like, this is a 90s problem,
Wow. Yeah.
That's the way I look at it, maybe. Any thoughts from council?
And some of the bigger operators, like you said, what used to be Launch is reopening under a different name. And they have to be licensed by the state too, so, because they're a different, like they're more of like an amusement gain
Yeah.
communication. So they're a little bit, I mean, they still do pay us, but they're a little bit different in terms of just somebody with one vending, one mechanical.
Yeah. Jeff, is there anything I'm missing with this?
That's basically it.
There's nothing,
Now, unless you lived in 1994, you wouldn't understand.
yeah. Born in 96, so missed that, but.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Um, So it's time we bring the code up to the 21st century, so I
So can I clarify then? So,
ahead,
so
sure.
the previous issue was, this one individual had asked for a waiver, I believe. In 2020, he asked to waive the late fee. Council at that time waived the late fee, but still held him to the regular fee, which is still delinquent. And then for 2021, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, they
and then
still
for-
haven't paid.
And then for
even
2021,
the fee.
asked to waive the late fee and the registration fee. So that, just with regard on a policy decision, you still have that one individual who owes last year's fee, and there was a waiver of the late fee, and has a request to waive this year's late fee and, so it's up to you all if you want to take some action to waive last year's revenue, which is about $200 and some, I think it was, $225 or, this year's, and then a late fee. So, I mean, all told, I think it's a ballpark of 500 and change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Would it make sense to just say, get up to 2020 and then 2020 when it goes away?
Yeah, well, I
Well,
think,
just, we have two that have already paid for 2021 though.
I think just waive the late fees, and everybody's obligated to pay what they agree to pay.
well, I think, so let's take one issue at a time. First, let's go to 2020, right?
Still on the hook for that.
The request from this gentleman, and I think as counsel, I checked the notes before we discussed, everyone wasn't inclined to waive it. He has to pay because it was on the books, everyone else paid, right?
Yep.
Is there any change of heart about that?
Well, let me ask this question, and Jamie, so when is the 2021, like, is it due by end of year, is it a calendar year thing?
No,
or-
I'm not sure for mechanical devices actually.
Okay.
I think it's like in the summer, maybe.
Okay. And I guess really, I was asking the question to really try to understand, is this like, if two have
We
paid,
may have already waived the late fee for 2020 because we did
We
that
did,
on
we
a lot of,
we
on a
waived
lot of our
everything.
licenses. So really, it's just 2021, but this individual didn't pay 2020 or 2021.
Yeah,
Even the license fee or the late fee.
gotcha.
we waived all the late fees associated with every fee, I'm pretty
Right.
sure. With COVID hit, because we had issues, mercantile licensing, people weren't in the office, they didn't get notices, so we waived the late fee. But the particular one in question here didn't even pay the,
There are two people who didn't pay.
There's two people that did.
Yeah.
The other one just isn't responding.
yeah, they
Like they
just,
haven't requested any kind of waiver of anything, they're just not
So,
paying.
so what's the consequence if they don't pay?
they just keep,
You have to remove their machines, or?
I guess you would have to enforce it, yeah, or you just keep hitting them with fees.
You put a lien on them.
So I think we hold them to the 2020, the fee, the late fees waived. And then I think we strike the ordinance for this year and just can we pay everybody back that already paid for this year?
You can refund the two that have paid.
I think we just refund and then 2021 is clear and everybody's happy. This thing's gone and we don't have any other issues. So it's all equitable moving forward.
So then the next one, if the council's inclined to, it wouldn't be the entire ordinance, it's just that section.
No, yeah.
For mechanical amusement devices only, so.
Yeah.
We would be repealing just that section of it.
Yeah, I know this is the fee schedule, so there's a bunch of stuff.
So, yeah, so it's just that schedule.
Yep,
And Jennifer can work just to.
Okay.
So refund 2021, 2020 has to pay.
yes, but there's,
So I'm gonna delete this section of the ordinance.
yeah,
And we'll,
Right.
we'll repeal just this one section for mechanical amusement devices,
yeah, just this one section,
just the one section.
right? We're okay with that?
Yes.
Cool. I don't want to speak for everybody, but was the notes from last time. I think that's, yeah. I think let's get in the 21st century, right, Colin? All right. Great. Sal, you'll have that. You get that done for us.
Yep.
Okay, next up, we have our off-duty police officer rates. There's a letter here from Dennis Rooney, who's the president of the FOP, Jeff or Jamie, who's Can anyone get us up to speed with this?
Every couple of years, they ask to change their off-duty rates. These are off-duty rates that are paid by outside entities that need police protection, traffic control, et cetera. So they're asking you, it's done by ordinance, is to do this by ordinance to increase it. The only thing I think we do want to look at, and we'll come back with you to it, is whether or not we want to increase the rate for the police car usage, because that's something we get. And the administrative fee hasn't moved in the last couple of years, so we may want to increase that as well. But I don't have any objection with respect to the hourly rates that they're asking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty standard, right? I mean, this isn't out of line in any, everything checks out.
Okay, so I will come back with, talking with the chief to get ask some neighboring towns, the rate that's being charged for police cars and for the administrative fee. I think we're a little low.
So does this get put in an ordinance? Or-
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So we'd have to technically amend the ordinance.
So do we want Sal to start to draft that?
Let me get that response from the chief first on those other issues, and then we can do it, yes.
Jim?
Can I make just one comment? Can you make a point that they don't charge contractors that are township contractors for vehicles? Because say for Conroe, we have a contractor that's hired a piece of police that we pay back
Circular.
through our contract, and so it's just kind of like you end up paying them for the police cars that.
The only question is, does the contractor really not build that into his bid? Because that concerns me that they build that into their bid and then we don't charge them for it.
No,
I get what you're
we
saying.
pay them direct invoice charges from the police. It's 1-to-1. Whatever we only pay the contractor directly what they are show us what their invoice from the police.
Okay,
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
okay. Yeah, we can take care of that.
So Sal, we can put something in about that.
Yeah, we'll amend that. I'll just need the numbers.
Yeah, once Jeff gives it updated, you can get it to us. Any questions from council? It's pretty standard stuff. Seeing nothing, so. Great. Next up, we have our favorite GIF update from Jeff.
On a quarterly basis, I try to update mayor and council on what's going on with the Burlington County Joint Insurance Fund that provides our insurance and insurance for the 26 towns in the fund. There have been some difficulties this year, both with the GIF and with the MEL, which provide the Municipal Excess Liability Fund, which provides the excess layer of insurance. There's some unfunded liabilities in the MEL layer for 2021, specifically in the area of cyber liability. Anybody that reads the paper knows cyber liability is going through the roof because ransomware attacks are happening everywhere, and it's becoming a very expensive area of insurance. The reinsurers that the MEL uses also have been impacted by some of the nationwide disasters such as floods and fires. Even though they don't necessarily have to be here, the reinsurers look to make their money back in the marketplace. So the MEL this year is looking for an increase in their budget of approximately 9%. We haven't seen an increase like that in a long time from the MEL. Secondly, the Burlco budget, our budget, has been trying to make sure that we have sufficient funds for a couple of the new pieces of legislation that have taken place. One of them is the firefighters' cancer presumption bill, and the other one is the bill that was passed with respect to doing a 2-year look back on sexual abuse claims. We haven't had a lot of these claims, but at the same time, we have to provide for the potential for them. If those claims don't come, then they'll come back to us in future years. But the fund is also at this time indicated that they're going to provide an $850,000 fund balance is going to go back against next year's increase, which was the same as last year. However, as the budget matures later in November, we're going to look at it one time, and the potential is that we're going to increase it because so far it looks like some of the towns are gonna get some increases as a result of these two items. The good news from respect to Delran is that our 6-year loss ratio is at 19.3%. The average is close to 75 to 80%. So our experience has been outstanding. And we also have a balance of $16,270 in the aggregate excess liability contingency fund. That was a fund where we were allowed to squirrel away some money for future times, such as we may be facing next year. So we have a good number of years of experience, and we have some funds sitting there. And like I said, they may increase the fund balance that gets released to the town. So hopefully the 2022 financial impact won't be that great, even though from a Mel and Jeff standpoint, those budgets don't look as good as they have in previous years. So that's where we stand. We'll know a little bit more on the exact impact probably in the next month.
Great, we're in good shape then. Any questions for Jeff? Okay. Next up, we have the Stewart Ave basketball court.
The capital, you approved in the capital budget and also a bond ordinance that was passed by Township Council for the reconstruction of the basketball court. We identified this year for Stewart Avenue basketball court to be the one. We have one quote, we're getting additional quotes. This quote's $29,000 for the installation of a new court, basket poles and nets. It would look similar to the basketball court that is located at Brown Street. That's how we've been reviewing them. And I'm putting it on the agenda because I think we'll have the two quotes in the next couple of days. If council is good with it, then, and we get those quotes, we'd like to move forward and perhaps awarding it at the next public meeting so that we can get this moving forward before the weather changes.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this part of the budget process pretty in depth, so, you know, I think we have all intents and purposes to move forward with it. Is there any other questions or, you know, comments from council? I know we talked about it before, but
I'm just happy to see it get done.
yeah.
I think the kids will love it.
Yeah, no, it's, the basketball courts are used a lot more than you would think.
Yep.
You know, especially over there, I know that's a popular
is.
court. So Jeff, I think you're good to go.
Okay.
Once you get the lowest one, you're,
As soon as we get the quote, we'll put it on the next public meeting.
okay, great. Finally, we have request to use our facilities, the Public Work Pole Barn, right, for Delran Homecoming.
Yes, you receive this every year. One of the classes likes to use the pole barn. We don't have a problem with it. Public Works will clear out that area of the pole barn, move their equipment back to allow for it if council is okay with it. They provide an insurance certificate, so that is the only requirement we've had in the past.
Yeah.
Now, there was a second request tonight that came across. The last couple years that they had this, I don't think they had it last year because of COVID, but the classes had asked to use the field next to Right Way where they form up for the homecoming parade to have a breakfast right there on the field. We allowed them to use that in the past, and we got a phone call today requesting that they be able to use it. In the past, they've policed the area, no trash afterwards, no issues. Just wanted to make sure council didn't have an issue with that.
I got no issues with it. We've been doing it for years, so it's a good, it's
My experience with that is you have a lot of parents involved as well,
a lot.
as
Yeah.
well as the staff in the school district, so I think it's well monitored.
Yes, and it's one of the highlights of high school for sure, homecoming in
It's
Delran.
awesome. It's an awesome
Yeah.
time, yeah.
You know, people come back from all over just to see it, so not a problem. Do you need anything from us officially, or just that we're okay with that?
As long as you're okay with it.
Okay, cool. And then, just as, I'm gonna add an item real quick, but Jamie asked, will we be able to get to the building next week for a meeting with the road work from PSE&G?
I'll figure it out.
If you could just let us know, and then let us know, Jamie and Jeff know if we have to,
I'll figure it
I
out.
mean, it is a public meeting, so we don't want any issues. Okay? Cool. Well, that's the first day, right? Or
Well, you'll
second
definitely
day?
be allowed in. I mean, the question is, are you okay if that
Keep
like
it out.
closing? Maybe we should go.
Yeah, I don't care.
Be able to get in, is that what you're
Yeah.
The question, I mean, they're gonna be starting down at Route 130, and then that night, it might just be when you're leaving the meeting, everybody's gonna go left out.
Yeah.
If that's okay, but I gotta review it with them.
Yeah, just make
I'll
sure
let-
that they're not,
Yeah, so maybe they don't have to close it all the way to Green.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
let outbound traffic go out.
if you could just let Jamie and Jeff know, that'd be great. Cool. All right.
How's that gonna be impacted by the work that they're starting Monday overnight? Will they be able to get in here?
Yeah, they'll be done by 5 in the morning. Everything will be open back up by 5 in the morning.
Well, they're working at night,
Who's they getting
don't they?
homecoming?
When they come building the float in the pole barn?
Yeah, they'll be coming down there.
That's true.
That's 6 to 10 p.m.
Yeah,
When is this homecoming?
they're gonna have to come down Chester, right? And they do
This
it
is-
late at
They
night.
work
the
till
date?
10,
So like
10 to 11, Jim.
So
They
need
want to
be able
use
get
it,
out.
so Monday, they want to use it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Of what
Thursday,
day?
from 6 to 10 p.m.
Next week.
Next week,
That's when they're
which is
starting.
when.
Oh, well, I might just have to tell PCG they're gonna have to be put off a week.
Is that right?
There's no way that they're gonna do this.
Yeah, they'll
And
be
work.
around.
Don't
Yeah.
pick them up at McDonald's, that's right,
Yeah.
so kids.
They use the fire department.
They're also at the firehouse. They'll be working at the firehouse.
Yeah.
Another class uses the firehouse
Yeah.
on the road, so.
So they're gonna have to leave,
Yeah.
you know.
They can call the superintendent's office and,
I'm saying.
yeah, no, I know, they can. Unless the school's moving their homecoming, and I doubt it, so,
They communicate with them, Jeff?
Already is.
cool, great, good catch.
Right.
Great cat.
So we may not have to worry about that. Now we'll,
We're gonna have a meeting
Wasn't
following week
speaking
too,
about
but
that.
we'll work on
Great.
that later.
So now we'll have reports. First report is from our clerk, Jamie Eggers. Jamie?
No, I have no report tonight.
Thank you, Jamie.
No, no.
Next up, we have a report from our administrator, Jeff Hatcher.
Nothing for open.
Thank you, Jeff. Next up, we have reports from our mayor, Mayor Catcherville.
Yes, so there's a couple of things that I want to just touch on that is happening right now. From your remarks about the trash, I think that was well put. We are, I think that one of the things I wanted to reiterate was that they're responsible for repair and replacing damaged cans. And I know not a lot of people are aware of that, but, you know, don't buy a new can, request a replacement, don't live with a broken can, have them come out and maybe fix that. That would be the trash company. You know, we're all frustrated with this, and it seems like the smaller companies are being bought up by the bigger companies, and it leaves it in a, you know, very difficult situation where there are not a lot of people and not a lot of competition, and that lack of competition with such an essential service is something that's creating a long-term problem that I think is something that is of concern not only for us, but other towns. And I will be reaching out with some letters to some of our state representatives to see if there's a way that they can address this, I'll say it out loud, monopolistic behavior that in my opinion, is hindering fair practice and competition. So I just wanted to just go on record to let everybody know that was happening. A brief note, there's been a ton of discussion about the Carly Lloyd event online, about money and where it's coming from. And I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of it because we don't have all the nuts and bolts yet. Let me just say that it's a combination of budget that was already in the budget for the Recreation Advisory Committee and corporate sponsorship. And how much does it cost? We don't have final costs yet. We're still negotiating with some of the vendors. We're still working out some of the details, but we will. And we're still fundraising and we're doing really well. I want to thank the sponsors that have already approached us, and there's still several that are you know have committed but haven't committed to a number yet. So it's happening. Everybody just, you know, relax. It's not going to break the budget. It's not, the numbers that are being thrown around are ridiculous. So let's all just take a deep breath and stay within our respective lanes, and we will answer the questions appropriately. And for those who were asking, I will not be the DJ that night. So, but I do want to say, if I could, before I finish my remarks, I'd like to send my congratulations to Sam and Jenna. Sam is my nephew and had his first son just yesterday, Sammy John Jr., 7 pounds, 11 ounces. But typical of my nephew, he wasn't paying attention when they said how long Sammy John was. So congratulations to Sam and Jenna and my newest great nephew. So that's my report.
Thank you, Mayor. And next up from our Solicitor's Office, Salvatore Siciliano.
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Finally, reports from members of council. First up, we'll start with, and Jim, what? I missed that. Jim. We're ready to Jim Winkowski from CME and CME Associates. Jim.
I'll just be quick. You know, there's a lot of work
Thank
that's started on the different road programs. I just gave Jamie a few schedules. I'll pass around ahead schedules from each contractor that just shows, you know, where the different contractors are going to be working over the next month between now and Thanksgiving. We're working on both road programs, and the traffic calming improvements should be started within a week or so. And then I've also been coordinating with Kelly from PSC&G and New Jersey American Water to get them into paving right when our certain concrete work is done. So there's a lot of action. I'll keep Jamie and Jeff up to date on the schedule, and I have printed schedules if you want.
That's all. Thanks. Now, reports from council. So first up, we have Councilwoman Virginia Pereira.
Yes, a couple things. First, I want to thank the fire department and the police department. Since they have been patrolling around the lakes, I have heard from the residents that the loud music on weekends have stopped, and so has the barbecuing. So thanks again. And then Marla just pointed out to me that because of homecoming, they're going to have to change the dates for PSC&G to work on Chester, that we're going to have to update the letters to the residents.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Okay, and that's all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And next up, we have Councilman Marlo Smith. Councilman.
Yes, just a couple quick things. Fall's officially here. As we know, the days are getting shorter, so there's gonna be less light. Make sure you pay attention, to all the kids that still might be out coming from practice or, on their way home from a friend's house. And also, the fall also brings leaves that fall on the road, and especially when they get wet, and they can be a danger. So you make sure you give yourself enough time to stop if there's a street that has a lot of leaves on it. So that's my end of the report.
Well said. And next up, we have Tom's not here, so we have Councilman at Large, Lynn Jenny.
I had like to report that I met with Dr. Brachel, the superintendent of schools. We had a very good meeting. It was just friendly, get to know each other a little bit, but it was clear that we both want to communicate and keep those lines open so that if the township can support the school district in some way or vice versa, Dr. Brachel's very positive about that. So I think we had a good start, and we agreed we're going to probably meet monthly. So that's the end of my report.
Great, thank you. And for my report, echo everybody else's sentiments. It's the good thing about going last is everyone takes all the thunder. But in another event that we have going on besides the Carly Lloyd event, I just want to plug the Trunk or Treat is scheduled for October 23rd. I know the RAC is working on that, and there should be some information online. If not this week, by this weekend, I'm sure early next week to get that out to everybody. And then that's all I got. So with that, we'll now go to public comments. I'll ask for a motion to open the floor to public.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Our floor is now open for public comment. So if anyone in the public has comment, please raise your hand. We'll go with Mr. Gilbert first. If you could just stand up, state your name and address for the record.
Bob Gilbert, 75 Stewart Avenue, Delran. We'll start with the easy stuff first. I want to thank you for what's going to happen with the storm drains down there
I
because
talked
they're
to
all
Jeff.
blocked.
Yep.
You have the sign out front that still says the seniors have a meeting in September. I was over there that day that they had it. Myself and another Vietnam vet who's a full-blooded Cherokee, we're going to go to the seniors on the 12th of October. That's when their next meeting is. And we're talking for about an hour, so we're going to do that.
Great.
I didn't know how you guys are coming along with the points. to get the governor's award? Are you,
I know it was Jeff's, and Jeff has the list, and I think he's going through it, right, Jeff?
Just getting started with
Yeah.
Green Tea, yes.
so we're
Unfortunately,
gonna
government moves slow.
be- Yeah,
you
we're
know
gonna be
that.
there on the 12th at 1:30, and then we're gonna spend an hour talking to the seniors. There's
Great.
actually some Korean vets there, and there's actually one Vietnam vet that was there, and I was talking to him. Delran Township, I talked to the, Dr. B,
Mhm.
and he's all on board with it. They have a new teacher, a male, but he's not that familiar with Vietnam. I'm understanding, I'm supposed to talk to him again tomorrow.
Great.
Mrs. Collodi may help hit this new teacher because he doesn't know a lot about Vietnam. So that's what's floating out there. I don't know. I gotta go see him and clear this all up and find out what's going on. Whether she's gonna help. What I understand is she's going to, and she wants like 3 nights in the library. When I get those dates, if any of you guys are interested in showing up and hearing vets talk.
Please share the dates with us.
Huh?
Please share the dates. That's a great opportunity for those folks who want to be there if you've ever been in those conversations.
Well, besides the seat, we're gonna go to Shawnee on the 3rd. We go there at 7:30 in the morning. We're there all day. Pemberton's coming up. We'll be there all day. Seneca is coming up. We will be there all day. We're talking like 20 vets between Korea, if there's any World War II left, I don't know if there's a few, and Vietnam vets. We even have, for Seneca, they have graduates that went to Afghanistan and Iraq. So I don't know who's going to show up yet, but we already got notified. I got an email about Shawnee. That's a go for the 3rd of November already at 7:30 in the morning. Last Thursday, the 9th of September, we had a burial up at Doyle Cemetery. We buried 7. The longest was on the wall was 43 years. The second one, longest one, had been cremated and sitting in a undertaker's shelf for 41 years. We are going to have one this Thursday. We are burying 9 more. If anybody's, Mr. Denny's going to go. If anybody's interested and you don't know where it is, I'm going. If you need a ride, give a yell. I'll be happy to take you there so you can see this. It's something that I think that if you're non-military or even if you're military, it's something that you see. This will be like this is the one we did last week was number 36. But I've been to about 15 of them because I was working. I'm not working anymore. So it'll start at 1:30. They want you there at 1:30 because last time when we were on the 9th, it was supposed to be at 1:30. We didn't get started till 2 because there are ongoing funerals of veterans too. So we are at the discretion of the director of the cemetery. As of last week, or the 9th, we had buried 316 veterans at Doyle Cemetery. Nobody knew their remains were laying around anywhere, but we buried 316 as of the 9th. As of the 9th, we have reunited 361 veterans with loved ones that did not know they had a relative that was cremated and sitting in a funeral home. When we do the 9, the totals will go up to 325 and 370. Right now, without those, well, with those 9, it'll be 686 veterans that have been claimed or buried at Doyle Cemetery, and they've all had proper military funerals. Is this going to be your first time?
Yes.
Okay. you got 9 of them. The last one was short. It was only 7. When we first started, the very first time we did it, there was no limit. We did 25 the first time we ever went. And then they said, well, you can't do that many. It takes up too much time. A quick question. I haven't talked about this in a long time. Is there any progress on the bank?
Jim
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
would be the most impressed.
Army Corps right now is developing this project work scope and cost to do the next round of study. And they're supposed to email me as soon as it's done. We're expecting it to be done within the next few weeks. So expect another meeting then with them in the next month or so. And that study and cost estimate is going to break out how much the township's going to spend and they're going to spend on doing the scoping study, which is basically like preliminary design almost for the stream bank stabilization project. So beginning of next year, when you do budgeting, we'll have to, I'll talk to Jeff, but we'll have to talk about, making sure you have the money for that cost share.
You won't be talking to Jeff, but someone, Jeff will be
Yeah,
able
I
to.
mean,
So, right now, we're waiting for Army Corps to get back to us again on a date we can meet again to go over their project scoping study, scope of work, and cost estimate.
I know I'm beating the dead horse here, but if you go down there and you look at that bank, that's 1/3 the size that it used to be 28 years ago. The bank is disappearing. You're not gonna have a bank in 10 or 12 years. None. The trees are falling in the water constantly. So, and that walkway they built, you can kiss that goodbye too if it keeps on going. You're not gonna have a bank. It's just not gonna be there.
So, the Army Corps has recognized that.
Okay.
They've agreed to take on the project, so now they're advancing the project to design and development and construction.
So this is a good step.
We're over the hump.
Jim-
I mean, they told us 10 years ago, it took them like 5 years just to sign on, COVID didn't help, but they told us it's a 10-year process once they actually sign on, and they only signed on like 5 years.
Yeah, because when we had the February before Sandy was in 2012, in end of October. The beginning of that year, it was talked about, and the Corps was interested in doing it then. And if I'm not mistaken, the numbers are basically the same. They were gonna pay 65% of it. The township was for 35%, but they only had to come up with 5% cash. The rest was either through manpower that they could lend to the project and stuff like that.
Theoretically, I forget the breakdowns, but I think it was around 65% of it was the federal share, and then 35% was non-federal share. So, and then we were gonna get DEP, the state of New Jersey's the DEP Shoreline Protection Program to chip in a portion, but their percentages worked out that the remaining non-federal cost share of the money we have to come up with is down to like 5 or 10%. Something like that.
Okay. Again, if anybody wants to go to the funeral service tomorrow and you don't know where it is, you wanna go,
Thursday, right?
huh?
Thursday?
It's at General Doyle Cemetery.
Thursday?
It's this Thursday,
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
huh?
You said
Tomorrow's
tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Okay.
Tomorrow's Wednesday, yeah.
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday it is. And they want you, I'll be there, I'm gonna leave my place at 12:30. It's about a 40-minute ride, it's about 27 miles. I go to the countryside, I like to just drive. They would like you there no later than 1:30, and hopefully everything will start at 2 o'clock. And what happened the last time, because it's under new management, you pull in, you gotta stay up front. You can't go to where we used to go around the back and set up ourselves and just do it. It's under a new director or something, and he just wants you to pull in and sit there until he's ready to give the signal, and then the cars and trucks just start following to where they're supposed to go. So.
Great.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate what you do for that.
Oh, wait. I know, I'm getting a pain in the ass.
Second bite, go ahead.
You know that. Go do yes. The Vietnam Healthcare and Benefit Act of 2020 was signed into law on January 5th of 2021. It changed the VA definition of the start of the war, which was first February 28, 1961. It's now been changed to November 1st, 1955, the start of the Vietnam War. The first individual that was killed was a U.S. Air Force Tech Sergeant Richard B. Fitzgibbon, Jr., who was shot and killed in Saigon on June 8, 1956. So for the longest time, we all thought it was like 61, some said 59. Now it's been confirmed by the Department of Defense, November 1st, 1955. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. PJ? You can just come up, state your name and address for the record, use your outside voice because we don't have the greatest microphones here.
Yep, no problem. My name's PJ Buzzy, and I live at 4205 Ridgeboro Road. I just have a complaint, a suggestion, and some good news for you guys.
Great.
So the first complaint I have is concerning the noise ordinance. There's many times during like the football season at the Delran High School and at the Summer Hill football stadiums, the speaker systems are turned up way too loud. And my house, we're like half a mile away from both of them, but they have it up so loud that I can hear clearly what the announcer is saying when I'm outside. And sometimes, like during the summer, I could even hear like the speaker system inside our house with the windows closed, all that. So I just would appreciate if the township could maybe let the school district know and the AA know that it's too loud, and if they could tone it down a bit, and maybe if they had some training for the people actually using it, just so they know what's good and not good. And the one question I did have was the new noise ordinance. I understand it's pretty much done now, but is that gonna cover this or not really, or?
Well, generally, it will cover any noise that is made from anywhere, and it would have to fall in the sound parameters. Most of this is now the state DEP gets involved, so we have to go off of their model ordinance. So our ordinance is very, very similar to the state's model ordinance. They approved it. It'll be introduced next meeting, and then following that will be adopted. So in theory, yes, what you're talking about could potentially be, it can be addressed by the ordinance if they're in violation. And if so, my best recommendation is when you're experiencing that to call, who would he call? Would he call the police for that? You would call the non-emergency number, and then they'll have a process in place to go take a look and see if it's in violation. So it's hard for us to preempt anything. So
Registered before the pandemic, and this summer we got it put on the register.
oh, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's listed as #1 champion tree because that's the only Nuttall oak that's actually listed on the register.
That's great.
Probably Deb Hammond has the
Yeah.
other one, and you talked about it before. There's
That's
a
great.
forester from the state, they come and inspect it, all that sort of thing. And he said that's the only tree of that size he's seen in New Jersey.
That's
He's
great.
seen smaller ones, but never that size, because they aren't as prevalent
Yeah.
in our
Jim, you should have
part of
this.
the country.
What's your forester's name?
Sherry.
Sherry.
I'm just gonna take a picture.
Yeah, you should send it. She may have to stop by. And Jim they have a forester in his office, so I'm sure she'll appreciate that. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I
Congratulations.
figured you'd be interested.
That's great.
And then the one thing I wanted to talk about was the tree ordinance, or on that subject. The main thing is we need to make sure these trees are protected because, as you probably know, if say we were gonna sell our house or Deb Hammond was gonna sell her house, what's to stop the next owner from cutting down the tree or not knowing, what have you? So I figure, the punishment needs to be pretty stiff, so people don't, want to do that. So, I was thinking it should be at least like $10,000 maybe, or a prison sentence. You can let me know, but.
You can't do that.
Yeah, all right,
And the reason you can't do that is there's a jurisdictional limit that municipal court can impose, and that's far above that.
Yeah, I know in the ordinance there is language about certain trees that are special, right? And maybe we do sell, why, since it's not, this is a good point. If it's on the registry, I don't know the name, or if it's on one of those registries, it automatically gets put into that category that it can't be touched.
Right.
And then, PJ, I would recommend reaching out to the green team, Deb, and seeing if they can maybe use some of their money to get something a plaque or something that you can put on the property that notates that tree is, it should be marked somewhere, right? So that people can see it and that everyone's well aware of what it is. I think that would be appropriate, but we can work with Sal's office to see. I don't know what the punishment is off the top of my head, but we could take a look at it.
Can you put like a punishment like
Yes.
on?
We can include a punishment, but there's a dollar limit.
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand that. I think it's very important that you do put a punishment on it because, you know, these trees take generations to grow and,
Hundreds of years.
you know, they're a great, you know, they're a living history of our township. You don't want to see that destroyed, so, and we're pretty special. We have two in our township, which most townships don't, so I think it's important that you do that.
Yep.
And, the only other thing I was gonna suggest is maybe if the township, I don't know if you can or not, but like say if these properties were sold, if the township or green team could notify the new owners just so they know that there is a tree listed on the register and what the laws are in the township, just so, you know, then nobody could say, well, I didn't know, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to get in the business of regulating home sales, but that's why my recommendation, if you work with the Green Team, and maybe even the Historical Society together, if you put plaques on the properties or somewhere, you know, and it's very clear that that tree is protected and that tree is recognized, you know, you make it pretty explicit, like they do with some, I know Morristown, the houses that are deemed, you know, historical have plaques on them that say that, and then that the owners are well aware that it falls under certain obligations they have, so.
Because with the historical houses and stuff, the state, if they're on the register, the state,
Yeah.
they do it. But with the trees, they don't do that, so since we're gonna have a new ordinance, I just thought,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, let's take a look. Honestly, my suggestion, not to punt it from council, but Deb Hammond from the Green Team wrote regulations for the DEP, so she's our, between Janet, Sal's office, and Deb, they are now experts in tree ordinances, so I can put you in touch with Deb and we can maybe figure out a way to protect,
I'll do that, yeah.
or at least brainstorm some.
I think, one route would be to talk to the realtors involved. Because I know, and I'm not sure about this particular case, but in some cases where there are situations about the house that should be made known, they have to be made known by the realtors. So if you were still, your realtor should speak to the other realtor and say, by the way, you should know this tree is a, you know, special tree and.
I'm a realtor too, so I know.
Oh, okay, so you know, that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you should disclose it in the seller's disclosure, but, you know, if the owner doesn't tell you.
Right, well, it's the seller's responsibility to, you know, say it. And I think if you have a tree like that, and then you both know.
Yeah, you both.
Yeah, I mean, we would, it's just, if it's sold again
Yeah.
to the next person, that's all I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
But, okay,
All right.
yeah.
Anything else?
No, it's good.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks,
everybody.
PJ. Any other questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor to the public comment.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is now closed. Now I'll
Mr.
entertain.
President, before you go to closed,
Okay.
I'm apparently the baby whisperer today. I was reminded that, I remembered that I saw somewhere, I had to dig up the picture, sending congratulations to Delran Fire Department firefighter Chris Harvey and his wife, who was an auxiliary member, Tracy Harvey. They had a baby boy, Finnegan James Harvey, who was born just a couple days ago on the 24th of September, and I just wanted to extend congratulations to them.
Congratulations.
That's all. Thank you for the interruption.
So now I will entertain Resolution 2021-161. This is authorizing executive session for personnel matter and contract negotiations.
Motion?
I'll second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The motion carries. The resolution carries. We will now go into executive session. So at this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess before we do that. Thank you. You good? You firing that or no? I mean, it's not really anything. All right, the videos, they can hear it, they can see us, right? You took down the black video. Right.
That would be, you know, big game the next day, they could, you know,
Okay. Great, all right, we are out of our executive session. There is no action to be taken, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. We are adjourned. We will see you guys next week. Thank you.